Cantinho Benfiquista. É onde o sonho se conquista. O bem e o Benfica, unidos na voz. Aqui somos muitos, mas sentimos como um só. Benfiquista, é onde o sonho se conquista. O bem e o Benfica, unidos na voz. Aqui somos muitos, mas sentimos como um só.
Welcome to another episode of Cantinho Benfiquista podcast. I said good morning. Typically, it's good evening. We are recording this the day after another disappointing defeat in the Champions League for Benfica. This episode is episode 220, and it's called The Morning After. I'm joined by Kenny. Schedules have been chaotic, so we haven't really been able to do a live recently, but I wanted to make sure that we put something out there. So, Kenny, good morning or good afternoon now, just shortly afternoon.
Yeah.
How are you? Less than 24 hours after that defeat. How are you feeling today versus last night? I know the group chat, I didn't get a chance to go back to read all the messages, but there was a lot. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, no, I've come down a little bit, but I mean, what else can I say about this team, about what's been going on? Just very frustrating. You know, we've joked about this. Like, I think we would have quite the podcast if we did it after one of these games, like, you know, immediate reactions. Yep. You know, you'd get a different side of me for sure. I'll tell you that much, because right now, you know, it is what it is. I'm no longer fooled by this team. It's, you know, I know we haven't done this in a little bit, but when I am on here, you know, I've told you I'm off the ship. I'm back on the ship. I've been off, and I'm not getting back on. I'm not being tricked by this team. This is, you know, it is what it is. They are who they are.
They are who they are. So we'll talk about obviously the defeat yesterday in Champions League and what our hopes look like in the future. We'll talk about current state. Where do we stand? Right, we're out of the two cups. We've got 10 points behind Porto. What do we expect? We'll talk about some potential incomings and some potential outgoings. Some which will probably create some interesting debate. But again, pre-recorded. But again, either way, join the conversation. Leave us your comments. We'll go back and watch them or read them after the fact and try to respond to all of them. But we'll try to address most of the topics that we're seeing across social media, or people that have messaged us or tagged us on social media platforms with questions. I know Pavlidis is a hot topic as well that I was tagged in. Kenny's very passionate about that, so we can touch on that as well. But again, while your comments might not come up on the screen during this, we will make the effort to go back after the fact and read them and engage with you in terms of what you're thinking and how you're feeling. But let's jump right in. So yesterday, Benfica travels to Juventus, to Turin, in a match that we knew at the very least Benfica needed to get points realistically, whether it was 1 point, which was less ideal, or 3 points, which was more ideal, to kind of make up for the ground that we lost. And I would say the ground that we lost against Leverkusen, but mostly that Carabao game is 100%. What's biting us in the ass, right? Because if we don't drop those 3 points, we're on 9 right now. We don't know what would have happened after that game, right? Going into the second game of the Champions League with 3 points versus 0 made a difference. But nonetheless, the reality is we most likely would have had at least 9 points right now, sitting in a much different situation. Now, mathematically, we're not out. Still possible, but again, it depends on how optimistic you are going into the last match day based on how things are going. So Benfica lines up with Trubin, Dedic, Tomazaruju, Otamendi, Dal. Midfield of Barreiro and Auschwitz. Enzo still coming back. Rios is hurt. And then a front four of players who end up in their actual positions and we're not really adapting, right? And we're seeing some of that in the last couple of weeks with Prestiani, Sheldrup on the wing, Sudakov as a number 10, and then Pavlidis up top. I did go back and watch the match after. I wasn't able to watch it live because of work. But how do you sum up that game, Kenny. And again, I didn't read all the messages, but it seemed like it was pretty heated debate in our group chat.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with me is, like, I keep hearing, and what we were talking about, oh, Benfica should be, after the first half, oh, Benfica should be up. We can't finish. It's going to come back to bite us. But it's like, is it a surprise? Is it a surprise to anyone anymore? Because this is what we've seen. This is like, when we started, this is who they are. And it just goes, and then it's like, oh, but Juventus isn't even that good. They're not playing well at all. And they go and beat us 2-0. It's like, if they're not that good and we can't finish and we're not playing well, what does that show us? I mean, yeah, you're right. I don't think Juventus played well. But I don't think we played any better either. And I, could we have been up? Maybe. I still think we, just because we had some chances, I still saw, I think, 2 shots over. Like, we can't put a ball on target. Every shot within the box is thrown into the stands, and we count that as a legit opportunity. We can't even put the ball on target. Yeah. So it's just frustrating. I think this team masquerades itself as, like, that we know what we're doing. I don't think we have an identity. I don't think, we're good defensively. Yes, we have, and I will, and I'm sure we'll debate this, and I'm probably one of the few on the side of this where, yes, Pavlidis has scored a lot of goals, but I think his goal count has been masqueraded because on the field, I think he hurts the team. I don't think he moves. He helps the team offensively. I don't think he's good with the ball back to the net. He loses the ball a ton, and I think this game specifically, I saw him losing the ball a shit ton all over the field, on our half of the field, offensively in the opposing box, and yeah, he scores. He gets his tap-ins, he gets his PKs, but more than that, when we're getting pressed, and this was one thing that I was talking to Bill. Me and Bill were going at it on the thing. It's like we're getting pressed on the defensive side, right? We're getting closed into that corner, which a lot of teams do, and we just don't know what to do with the ball. And I was seeing it was who was on the left side yesterday? It was Dahl and Sheldrup. So, like, Dahl was getting we were rotating the ball. Dahl would end up getting it pinned in the corner. Sheldrup is showing that should have space on the back behind the defender, right? We should have that long ball over, but no one's making the run. I saw Sudakov make the run one time, and I think it was on the opposite side of the field. It actually bounced. It bounced through. No, there was one that bounced through and got across.
And there was one that he took a touch and it ended up going out of bounds.
And it going out of bounds. But, where's Pavlidis there? There's a ton of space there that Pavlidis should be moving into, and I don't think he's making the movement, and that's the reason why the ball's not going over. And we get pinned there, and we lose the ball so cheaply, constantly. I think we've suffered so many goals from just this type of play or rotation. Like, the teams know that we just don't know. We're not comfortable with the ball on our feet back there. And then, you have Otamendi, who's not a lefty. He's playing the left side of the center back position. And then he can't clear the ball with his left foot. And then, it just puts us in so many difficult situations. Rambling off a little bit. But yeah,
it's fun.
I didn't see much. I think there was whose chance. We had one chance. I think it was in the second half that could have been a legit goal, but it's not enough. I forget who. I'm terrible.
We had Auschwitz off the post. We had Sudakov had a shot in the first half. The goalie saved, and Pavlidis almost got the rebound. Mm-hmm. We had a couple of half chances, to say the least. But ironically, the expected goals in this game, even though we lost 2-0, the expected goals is 1.36 for Juve and 1.44 for Benfica. I think that in itself explains that, like you said, right? I think the lack of efficiency in this team is alarming, especially this season. I guess I'll piggyback off of what you said to start. In terms of the team, I don't necessarily agree in terms of that we don't have an identity. Like, I feel like in the last month, I feel like the team looks different under Mourinho. But again, I still think that there's pieces missing, right? And I think the biggest piece that's missing is the efficiency. Like, I feel like before I felt like our argument was we don't create enough chances.
Mm-hmm.
right? And now I feel like we are creating chances, whether they're legitimate chances or whether they're half chances, and we're not taking advantage of them. Like you said, right? How many times did we have the ball yesterday, edge of the box, top of the box, and we didn't hit the target?
Yeah.
Like, those are opportunities at this level. You have to force the goalie to make a save. Sudakov had that shot. Goalie saved
had
it.
one, I think.
Prestiani had one. Pavlidis had one left-footed. But then it's like we get in that final third, and it's like no one knows what the hell to do with the ball. Like, it's like, but the other piece of it is I also think this team is lacking confidence. Like, it just, no one, like, there was a play that we play the ball across the box in the first half, and Sudakov has the opportunity to shoot it, and he lays it off to Sheldrup, and then it's a bad pass, and we waste that chance. Like, that right there, like, you're in the box. Like, how the hell are we not pulling the trigger there, right? And then it's another wasted opportunity. So it's like, I think the team in itself is lacking some confidence. And Pavlidis, I think, ultimately is lacking confidence. I think that goal that he missed against Porto just absolutely rocked him. There was rumors that he was pretty impacted by it after the final whistle against Porto. There's rumors yesterday. And then on top of all that, he hasn't missed a penalty in 6 years, right? And then he slipped. Like, you can't make this up. Like, you absolutely, this guy has been burying penalties, like absolutely burying penalties. And this one chance after missing that the goal against Porto, he slips. Like, you literally couldn't make this shit up. So I think, and as soon as I saw that, I said to myself, like, that's going to ultimately kill him confidence wise. Like, if he was already struggling after that Porto game, that is just absolutely going to bury him. And there was rumors that Mourinho went and picked him up after the game. He was sitting down on the field and he was pretty upset. I did notice that Auschwitz was the first one over to him after he missed the penalty to pick him up. So, I mean, it looks like the team's with him, but you could tell, like, and I've been a defender of him, and I know that you've not been so much, but I do agree in terms of yesterday. I felt like he was just super out of the game. Like, touches that I normally see him holding up play. He had one instance, like a 60-second play, where he had the ball 2 times on the right-hand side next to the sideline, and like he lost it 2 times.
Twice.
Like, he lost it, came back, bad touch again, lost it again. You're like, fucking hell. Like, and I think that for me was so showing of like where he is at mentally right now.
And because we're in this like drought or in this type of form, like those are the moments that stick out more to me than when he scores. Like, correct. Yes, he's to me, and I know that not everyone's like viewing it the same way, but like, okay, yes, I see the goals, but like I'm not like jumping on that. I'm jumping on the fact, okay, but did you see the on the end line there where he just like easily, cheaply lost the ball, right? And or, you know, and it's not just there. Like, I saw it multiple times on the field. I'll just say this. I know we're on opposite sides. I don't think. Yes, I do think we are creating more than we have earlier in the season. But I still see this like unconnected team. Like,
I agree with that.
I saw it with Porto, and I know Porto didn't play their best either, but when they were on a counter, it was fluid. It was like almost on skates. Balls were ahead of the players in you know, as they're moving down the field. Whereas like yesterday, I saw so many passes where instead of leading the forward, they're behind, and it just kills the play. Yep. And then what do? We get uncomfortable with the ball behind us. They're pressing. We go back to Otamendi. We go back to Dahl. We go and just start. It just kills the momentum of the game, and it constantly happens over and over again.
And I think that's the piece, and I agree with you on that. And I think that's the piece where that for me is Benfica's identity. Like, Benfica is not a team to play in transitions right now. That's just not who they are. They're not the Benfica of Bruno Lage first time around where you pick the ball up and they're in 2 passes, they're at the edge of the other box. They're not Benfica of JJ version 1.0 where they pick the ball up, Markovic picks us up, 1-2, bang, you're in the box, right? Like, that's not who we are today. And I agree with you. It's frustrating where you have a couple of situations in games where you can break in transition and take advantage of that space. And it's like, you get the ball to Prestiani, you get the ball to Sheldrup, and it's like they stop and then play it, right? And then the other team just gets back, and now it's like, fuck, we got to undo the puzzle again. Yep.
Yep.
Right. But again, and that's where I say I think we have an identity because that's who I think we are. I think we're better at playing that today than we were 2 months ago. But nonetheless, it's incredibly frustrating to see it happen because there's so many opportunities that we could just break forward and take advantage of. But that leads me to the other situation is I don't think our wingers are.
No.
I'm still not sold, and this could be controversial. I'm still not sold on Prestiani first. I think he scored a big goal against Nacional to help us come back in the late minutes. He's got moments that he stands out. But if you watched him in the World Cup, I think it was the World Cup, the U21, I think it was recently, and you watch him on Benfica, it's like a completely different player. And I think in part is because he's so young. And when you're playing people your age versus when you're playing people that are 25, 30, 35, right? Like it's a huge difference. And he's not a big guy.
No.
Right. So like you've got to have that it factor when you're that small and that speed to be able to make up the difference. And
Agreed.
I'm not sold on him yet. I'm not saying that he's not good enough. I'm not saying that he's not going to be great, but he's still young. And I think we need to realize that like he's still a very much work in progress.
Yep.
Sheldrup on the other side, if I'm not sold on Prestiani, then I'm definitely not sold on Sheldrup. I'm being honest. And again, he had moments last year, the toss of the league against Sporting. But he just yesterday, again, he had so many moments where like he's 1v1. And I think technically with the ball at his feet, he's good.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like he's got no intensity. He's got no explosion to go at defenders.
Yep.
Like, and that's where I think in part is we don't break in those transitions because he's not going to beat anyone in a race. He's not a Rafa, and I'll throw the Rafa out there because we'll get to it shortly, but he's not a guy like a Rafa or even a Sidney Lopes Cabral, someone or Francisco Conceição, right? Like that's just going to I'm going to lose it 15 times.
Yep.
But that one time that I get to you, I'm going to fucking leave you in the dust. Right.
Yep.
And he's that guy that like, he might beat them partially, but he doesn't have the pace to get away. And then he's got to stop and do it again. And stop and do it again. And it frustrates me. So like yesterday again was killing me is the fact that like, I personally didn't think Benfica played bad. I think as soon as Juve went up 1-0, I noticed the team kind of dropped a little bit, but I think up until the 1-0, I think Benfica at the very least deserved that draw or could have been leading because I thought they had put Juve under a little bit of pressure at certain times of the game. Playing out of the back, I agree with you. On the left-hand side, we were useless with Dahl and Sheldrup. On the right-hand side, I will say I was very surprised of how many times we played out of the back with Dedic on the end, on the sideline, with Prestiani, 1-2 give and go, Sudakov creating that triangle in the middle, that outlet, and then us swinging it across the field. We did that 3 or 4 times, and every time it was there, I was like, fuck, don't lose it here. Don't lose it here.
I know, but he's the only speed on the team. He's the only one with pace to get up the line there.
Correct.
It looks, sorry, go ahead.
No, and it's obvious because you could tell how uncomfortable the team looked when we had to play out on the left.
Yeah.
Like you said, we played a Dahl, and it was like, just dump it. Right? And when we played at the Dedic, it was, I'm not going to dump it. I'm going to find this pass. And more often than not, they found it and we came out playing. But then once we got into their half, it was like, all right, now we got out. Let's slow down. Now, right. And it's like, why the fuck are we slowing down?
Yep.
Take this. Like you literally just left 4 of their guys out of the play. Why are we not going at them? Right. You did all that work to play out of the back purposely to draw them in.
Yep.
And then you get out of that pressure and you get to midfield and you're like, all right, let's let them catch up, and we'll do it again.
We'll circle. We'll circle the ball and throw in a cross, which I think we've shown all season that we don't score. I think we have 1 goal by header. We just don't.
Not many.
We don't score goals by, and it's like, and again, that's another gripe with me with Pavlidis. He's a big guy. He just doesn't have that skill in him, and we waste opportunities like that. I agree with you in that Juve's back line did not look good. No, we definitely had chances if we just took the chances to penetrate the line and just feel more comfortable with the ball, take some risks because they were not that good. Locatelli should have gotten an early yellow when he stomped on Sudakov. That could have changed the game too. That would have put him the rest of the game on watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't feel comfortable. I did think Sudakov in the first half. I mean, he had a couple of chances where he was coming up with the ball. He should have laid. That's the thing. When he should lay the ball off, he took the shot. When he should have taken a shot, he laid the ball off. And
that shot that he had that created the rebound, Sheldrup is right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think Pavlidis was kind of opening up on the right-hand side, and he didn't give it to him either.
And again, I think that also in part is like that confidence thing, right? Like where if things are going well, right, like that shit just comes naturally. Like I'm going to take that risk to make that pass,
right?
Versus things aren't going well and there's a lot of pressure. Like, do I need to risk that pass? Because if it goes wrong, then they're going to be like, why didn't you shoot, right? And if you shoot and you don't score, then they say, why didn't you pass? Right? I noticed the Sheldrup one stood out to me immediately, live when I watched, or after the fact when I was watching it first time. When he took that shot left-footed, which created a good rebound. But that was the first thing I noticed is literally Sheldrup was right there. But then again, knowing him, he fucking probably puts it over the net.
I remember that one. I think he actually looked back at like Mourinho, like what the he was like throwing his hands up and everything.
He put his hands up. Yeah. So that's the one thing that stood out to me. More things on this game. And I think that you guys touched on it in the group chat, but again, I didn't read everything through, but it's incredibly frustrating for me. I'm concerned for next season at the heart of our defense. Why? Because I honestly think Otamendi is going to leave. And between Tomás Araújo and Antonio Silva, Tomás Araújo yesterday has two absolute fucking brain farts, which is the first goal is like, what are you doing? He took a risk because he tried to anticipate and he messed up, but he still had time to correct himself and just drop in. And what does he do? He takes another risk and jumps in again and basically allows Thuram to just walk in. And then I don't know if it was before, I think it was in the first half where the ball is going over Otamendi's head. It's clear as day. The ball's going over Otamendi's head and Tomás is right there. And it's like, somebody just grabbed him and placed him on the field and the ball landed at his feet and he was like, what the fuck? And he like just tapped it and the guy chipped it over his head and they would have had a breakaway, but the ball was a little bit too long. But it's like, how the hell did you not see that was coming? Like I could see from here that it was going over Otamendi's head. And it was like he was surprised. Like the ball landed at his feet and he just kind of like poked it away and the guy chipped it over. And fortunately it wasn't someone quick or else they would have gone on a breakaway and Dedic ended up coming back and taking it away. But like, I don't know about you, but I'm extremely concerned because Tomás has shown us that with the ball at his feet, he's more capable than Antonio Silva.
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying. But I also think on the other side, Tomás has shown us that psychologically he's impacted more by mistakes than Antonio is. I think Antonio's more capable of making a mistake and just fucking forgetting about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've seen him make some stupid mistakes. Right. And a lot of players his age, aka Ferro as an example, right, they're not able to just overcome that. The pressure, what's going on, right? And like it's tough. And I feel like when Tomás Araújo makes a mistake, he's more likely to make 2, 3, or 4 more during the game versus Antonio. I feel like he's more capable of overcoming that. With that said, I know people are on the Seychelles bandwagon and the youth and this and that and everything, right? I know we've got Joshua Winder in the background, who I actually like a lot. From what I've seen of him, I've seen quite a few games of him on the B team. I watched him in the World Cup, the U21 with the USA. But I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about our center backs for next season.
No, 100%. And I think a couple of years ago we've been like, oh, dude, we have a backbone here for the future.
Yep.
And now they're not looking as great. Now they are young.
Yes.
You know, they're probably, Tony and they're probably what, 21, 22?
21, 22. I can check right now, but I would say, yeah. Tomás is 23. 23.
But I mean, they're still
correct. You know, they're like in their prime.
They're not. Yes. And they're going through this developmental stage where they're still
Tony's 22.
Okay. And I'm not writing them off, but I am concerned that
Agreed.
you put them both together. You're definitely you're playing with fire there, right? I think Thiago Arujo,
Tomas.
I keep saying Thiago. Tomas Arujo, he's like you said, he's good with the ball at his feet, pushing play up. He reminds me a lot of, like, in that way, David Luiz, right?
I was just going to say that. You took the words out of my mouth.
He pushes the ball up. I actually think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, he made a run into.
He had a couple where the ball was going wide and he cut it inside and then just took off down the middle.
Yep. And I think those are like spots where, like, we can, like, look at and be like, okay, that is something that we can look forward to and he can develop off of. But you're right, mentally, he's got to be able to have that Otamendi type of mentality, Luis Zell type of mentality. I don't think at this point you can pair the two together moving into next season. You definitely got to go recruit. A lot of people did not like Muratu. I'll tell you right now, Muratu would have been a lot safer back there. I would have felt more comfortable with Muratu back there than at this point Tony and Tomas.
Yeah, and Tony and Tomas played against Porto, and they didn't really commit any mistakes. But again, it's just could they do well together? I don't think there's a doubt that they could do well together, because I think they have the capabilities to be very good center backs. But for me, it's you need kind of that spine up the middle of your team, right? And having, despite Otamendi himself has his mental breakdowns where he right? Like yesterday, there was a couple moments after we went down 1-0 where he looked like he was just fucking like a chicken with his head cut off. Like he was pressuring the ball at midfield, leaving gaps in behind. I'm like, what the fuck was he doing? Mm-hmm. But despite all of that, he brings that sense of leadership, of security. Yeah. Whereas, like, as a fan, and I'm sure as a coach, because he comes back on a Friday from Argentina and he plays on a Saturday, right? So that in itself is telling of what he brings to the team. Is when I think about Otamendi paired with Antonio, paired with Tomas, or paired with even Joshua Winder, I feel a sense of security because you've got that leadership and that spine down the middle. Now, when I think of Tomas, Antonio, and Joshua Winder, between the three of those without an Otamendi on the field, now I'm like, do they have the capabilities to be good? Yes. Do I think there's a lack of leadership and grit and the ability to be able to fuck up and forget about it and move on to the next play? I don't know if that's there yet. Right. Could it come? Could it come? Yes. With experience, with making those mistakes, with playing regularly, it can come. Yeah. And in their defense, they're not playing regularly. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'll give them that as well, especially at this age. But going into it, if that's what our future looks like, I'm nervous. Again, that doesn't say that we could go into next season with the two of them and they fucking are absolute rock stars, right? We don't know that. But on the surface, I'm like a little bit nervous of what the future looks like back there.
I agree. I'm with you.
Other topics here for that game yesterday. We already talked about Sheldrup. We already talked about Tomas. Let's talk about what's left of the season. So Benfica's on 6 points in the Champions League. Mathematically, that's not done. We got Real Madrid at home in the last game. Real Madrid is going through all sorts of chaos off the field. They replaced Xabi Alonso with Arbeloa. They lost their first game in the Cup. They did win their next game in the league, and then they just smashed Monaco at home, which puts them on 15 points. They're third in the Champions League right now. Top 8 go direct. The likelihood of them, even if they were to lose to us, not making it direct is pretty unlikely. Some of, like, PSG and Newcastle play each other, and those two are right behind them. Sporting's away to Bilbao, who is a team that could potentially leapfrog them if they were to lose and Sporting was to win. So it would take a perfect storm for them to fall out of the top 8. Is it possible if they were to lose? Yes. With that said, do I think they're going to necessarily rotate? Probably not, because it's Arbeloa's, 4th or 5th game in charge. There's a lot of chaos off the field. Like, the fans are not happy. They're not happy with the president. There's a lot of shit going on. So I don't expect them to come to, I don't expect them to come to Lisbon and be like, we're going to rotate, but time will tell. again, mathematically, we're not out of it. We need to win at home. And then, fortunately, there's a couple of teams ahead of us that have just as bad or worse goal difference that could achieve 9 points. So it's still possible. Looking at the results that would need to happen if we won, I would say a lot of them are very likely. So, but at the very least, we can't worry about everyone else. We got to worry about ourselves. Right. And that in itself is a tall task. So let's first talk about Champions League hopes. I think based on our conversation up until now, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but do you have any expectation of being able to get a result out of the game against Real Madrid?
I think it like pains me to like say these things, but it's the truth. I mean, I think we'll go in nervous. There's not a lot of pressure to make any type of drastic changes. Like Mourinho looks like he's just kind of floating around, and the team is just, like I said, who they are. And maybe they'll get a tie, maybe they'll get a victory, but it won't. Like you said, the first thing is win, right? And you got to stack these wins to start building momentum. So hopefully they can do that. I don't think we'll get through regardless, but yes, I think they can pull off a result. They have to at this point because, I mean, dude, how can we continue on like this? Like we keep just putting up poor performances, and it's just not gonna end well. And I can't honestly put up with watching these guys continue to lose and give up points and just look terrible. Like it's just a miserable time. But is it possible? Yes. I don't feel good about it. It's Real Madrid. At the end of the day, whether they're in good form or dealing with stuff, we are too, and they're still Real Madrid, and they can come in and beat us very easily. And they could come in and embarrass us very easily. I just don't think, if we do win, it'll be good, but it won't change my, like, I'm not going to like all of a sudden be like, hey, we beat Real Madrid. Like, come on, like to me the season's really done in my opinion, and we just got to stack up these wins just to like hope that the fans stay on board and we don't go into
Vietnam
civil war,
as people are saying.
Yeah.
I'm typically optimistic, and I'm optimistic that the fact that the game's at home, last game of this stage of the tournament against Real Madrid. I mean, I don't think we've played Real Madrid an official match in decades. So that in itself, the stadium's going to be packed. And again, mathematically, it's possible. So I think the atmosphere, is going to be electric, and I'm excited because I get to go watch this game. Nice. So I think we'll have the possibility to pull off a result. But like you said, I don't think, regardless of if we are able to win, I don't think it should change the perception of what we've done up until now and what we can or can't do after the fact. I think, and that's one of my gripes with a lot of Benfica fans, is we're very irrational in both sense, right? Like, I feel like a lot of times we're irrational, like when we get a big win or we have a big performance and it's like, let's fucking go. And then we're also irrational on the other side, whereas like if we have a bad result or we have a bad performance, it's like the fucking world's on fire and we need to start over again. And that's the piece that frustrates me. It's like sometimes I want to just be like, can we be critical but be rational, right? Like, can we be critical in the sense of like, we didn't play well, we weren't efficient, we made mistakes and we lost and we deserve to lose, but like, okay, where are the positives from here, right? Like, and again, being critical and rational doesn't mean that we're blanketing over the problems or we're disregarding the problems, but it's more so like, can we have a rational conversation of like, what are we doing well, what is not going well, and have like just a general conversation rather than like, the 65% that voted for Rui Costa, this is all your fault and we've got to do this. And it's just like, fuck, man, it's so exhausting.
I might be on there, Mike. You might be talking to one of them.
And sometimes I wonder, what would life as a Benfica fan have been like if there was social media in the late 90s when Benfica was absolutely terrible, right? Like there was no social media.
Mhm.
There wasn't access to that information at your fingertips. There wasn't the ability to just log on to social media and shit on a team, a player, a performance, or whatever the case may be. Like you couldn't do that,
Mhm.
right? So like I always think when people are like, Vietnam 2.0, it's like sometimes I wonder, like, did you live through the late night? Like I remember the late 90s, and it was like we had Shanus and Andrades and players like that where it's like I don't think we can compare. Is the phase that we're going through right now frustrating as a Benfica fan? 1,000%.
Yeah.
Comparing it to what we went through in the late 90s for me is a bit extreme, but again, to each their own. But
Yeah.
as I'm touching on that, another topic that I'm seeing on social media is fans asking Rui Costa to step down if we end the season with no silverware, which we're already out of the Taça de Portugal. The Taça Liga is a wrap. We won the Supertaça at the beginning of the season. The Campeonato, we're 10 points back. Where do you stand on that? And I guess where do you see the biggest fault for where we stand today as a club, as a team?
Yeah. So if the thing, it's tricky for me because like we've already gotten rid of a coach and multiple, but like we're like what else are we gonna do here? Like what are we gonna get rid of? We're gonna get rid of Mourinho and do what? Like that's the problem, is that there is no plan, and it's tough to make a plan when you're in the situation that you're in right now. Because any other coach
your laundry's done.
Yeah. Oh, you can hear it.
Yeah.
But any other coach in this type of form would be canned at Benfica at this point. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Like, and I'll it's surprising that we haven't lost in the league. We're undefeated, but like I just don't see any bright like light at the end of the tunnel at this point. But I think it comes down to there was no clear, and I've read the comments too, and I feel like I'm more on that side of it. There was no clear plan in the beginning of this season. I hated the fact that like I wasn't a Lage supporter, but like would anything have changed if Lage was here over Mourinho? No. In my opinion, one or the other, we would have probably been in the same situation. And my issue is that mostly with Rui Costa at this point, because if you're going to, this is the second time he gave up on the coach a few weeks into the new season. You should have done that prior, at the end of the previous season, because there was nothing that there was no leg that Lage could stand on. He didn't win. I don't think we won anything. We didn't win anything.
Taça Liga.
Okay. Taça de Liga. Well, and then he also won, I guess, the Supertaça too. So, but still.
No, we didn't win the. He won it this year.
We won
it this year against Sporting. 1-0. Pavlidis scored.
And Lage was still there, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So he had some hardware. But regardless, if you were going to, he did this with Schmidt and he now did it with Lage. You get rid of the coach. In my opinion, just dismantle the whole team, the whole flow. There was no planning. You thought that there might have been. I mean, he had some good. We brought in some good signings, but there was no, I guess, reason for it. Like he was just like, hey, we like this player, we're gonna plug this player in, and it didn't make any sense. And I agree. Like I've seen the comments where it's like, hey, it's time to, the season's a lost cause, time to start planning for the next season. But do we trust Rui Costa in doing that? And how are you going to plan the next season? I mean, what are you planning the next season with bringing Rafa in? I mean, you throw lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. So that's what you're planning for the future, bringing in Rafa. Like, I just don't see anything that is like positive with this team moving forward. Again, what are you going to do? Give up on the coach, bring someone else in, start all over again? Like, if there was a time to really reset, should have been, and the fans, I mean, the Sausages voted, but there should have been a change in president. That would have been a hard reset. I think it would have shaken up things, because I'm sorry, but like, what do we have? One championship and 2 tasses in Rui Costa's tenure. It's not enough, and it hasn't been pretty. As much as I loved him as a player and like my number one legend, it's tough to see. But that's where the problem for me starts, is with Rui Costa. I think he's more involved with opening hotels at this point than the soccer team. I just don't see any fight from him or Mourinho at this point either, which was a big disappointment up to this point. I thought he'd bring in more fire. I think he's coddling the players. I think he's a different manager. I don't think he, in my opinion, some of these guys should be like, as much as a lot of people think you shouldn't talk about your players in public, I think some of these guys need like a wake up call. Like, you need to ring some of these guys out to like spark some life.
And he has done it a couple of times. I mean, he did it in the Tassa game against Atletico, where at Atletico he said at halftime that if he could have swapped like 9 of them, he would have swapped everyone. So I think he has done that a few times. I would say, and I'll ask you the whole Lage question just to give Oscar his 1 minute. But before I ask you that, I've never been a fan of Mourinho because of his persona. Similar to the reason why while I can appreciate and respect everything that Ronaldo's done for Portugal, I don't like him as a persona on the field. Like, I don't like how he comes across and just how they carry themselves. Now, I can't say I don't like them as a person because I don't know who they are as a person. But just how they come across, I don't like that. And I've never been a fan of Mourinho because of that. I will say, since he joined Benfica, he seems a different Mourinho. He seems a lot more level-headed. I feel like he's lost some of that arrogance that he had that made him who he was early on in his career. I think also the fact that, and we had this argument yesterday or the day before on our WhatsApp group, of like people comparing Pep with Mourinho and their careers, and it's just like, and you and I have talked about this before, right? Like, the best coaches in every sport coach the best teams. Whether they're the biggest teams, the teams with the most resources, the teams with the most money, whatever the case may be, those clubs, those teams want the best, right? And Mourinho had that when he left Porto. He went to Chelsea. They had boatloads of money with Abramovich. He was at Real Madrid. He was at Inter Milan. And again, Inter Milan's not at the same level as Real Madrid on the European stage, but Inter Milan's still historically a large club that has financial capabilities. But after a certain point, you look at his resume of teams, right? He went down fast, right? He was at a Roma. He was at a Tottenham. Yes, he was at Manchester United, and he won the Conference League there, or Europa League. I don't remember which one. But, he's coming from a Fenerbahce. He's coming from like these teams where it's like, that's not the Mourinho of old. So I think him coming here, he seems different. I do like his ability to communicate. I think that's a huge piece that Benfica has been missing, because I talked about it last year. I think that's what buried Bruno Lage ultimately, is his press conferences, because when it was going well, he was joking and laughing, and my kids watching Canal Panda and this and that and the other thing, shaking all the journalists' hands when he got presented, right? And then when things started to get tough, he wasn't able to level himself out emotionally. And I still stand by this. I think he was unable to separate Bruno Lage coach and Bruno Lage fan. And you could see those two kind of intertwine with each other as he was communicating things. I mean, the audios from the parking garage, like, that's just shit that, like, that's a fan. Like, you're a manager of this club. You can't be having those conversations with the risk of something like, but again, that's proof that, like, he can't separate those two. Now, I think in terms of style of play, I think we can all agree that the last 10 years, we can't sit here and be like, Mourinho's teams have played fantastic football. Like, that's just not the reality of it. And yes, are they typically organized? Yes. Is Benfica a little bit more organized today than they were with Bruno Lage? I would argue that yes. Now, to go off of Oscar's question, would we be better off with Lage today than we are with Mourinho? Obviously, it's a hypothetical. And you can, I'm sure we could all sit here and grab points for both sides of the argument. why we would be or why we wouldn't be. He picked these players, so he had a certain style of play, and now Mourinho's got to play a different style of play. They're not his play. Like, we can go back and forth on that. But the reality of it is we're trying to debate that the guy that left would be in a similar or better situation than the guy that's here. But the guy that left is also the guy that had a 2-goal lead at home against Karabag and lost 3-2 in the first game of the Champions League, right? So, but again, there's people that can argue the other side of it, right? Like, well, okay, we lost that game, but we did that, right? And at the end of the day, it's a hypothetical. Do I think we would be better today than we are with Mourinho? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think so. Why? Because with all the pressure that's going on with the elections and all the shit that was going on with that, and Bruno Lage was getting very involved in those conversations, right? He was making comments in press conferences about my president, right? And that was bringing fire onto him. I think despite what would have happened on the field, I think the stuff off the field would have absolutely made it so difficult for him that I think it would have created more problems, where I think Mourinho's better at deflecting those conversations. He's got also some respect from the media where they don't maybe push as much on certain topics, where like he's just like, fuck you, I'm not going to talk about that, and they kind of move on. Whereas Lage was like constant, and like he didn't know how to stop it, so he would just diarrhea of the mouth.
I agree with that.
So that's my take on it. I don't know where you see us.
No, I don't see us, if anything, the same. I don't see this season going any different than it has been going. Whether it was Lage, I think there's deeper problems than just the coach at the center of all of this. I think the players have a lot of blame, and I don't think Lage would have gotten them to play any different, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Again, it's a hypothetical, and it's Benfica fans love their.
I have one for you though. Let's take it a step up to Rui Costa. From the time of election. And I know it's a short period, but like, what do you see moving forward? Like this team needs a hard reset, and you can't go out and spend another 100 million on players, or maybe you can, I don't know, but like, how can you stop the bleeding? How can you turn this into a situation where you can do what Porto did, where they went from worst to absolute best, and by not, and again, I'm assuming you can't make too many drastic changes there. No. What can you do?
Listen, I'm of the opinion of, if he was to step down on his own, I respect it. But I'm not of the opinion that the socios should vote to kick him out, because it's a democracy, and 65%, whether people want to bitch about it or not, right? It's no different than citizens voting for a president, right? Like it's not going to make everyone happy, right? Now, I think that Benfica needs to sit everyone down and call a spade of everyone that's in the room, and have ownership. Like this constant rotating, and we talked about it last year with Roger Schmidt, or 2 years ago, right? And I was a defender of consistency and maintaining that consistency. And as much as I didn't like Bruno Lage, I would have defended him staying, because you can't keep having this revolving door of coaches. But then on the flip side of it, we have this constant revolving door of players. Like we can't keep rotating 6 of our starters year after year and expect that the team is just going to be fluid. That it's just plug and play. It's not that easy. Like, we look a couple miles down the road, Sporting got rid of one of the best goal scorers that's ever gone through the Portuguese league, right? And can you say they got lucky with Suarez? Yes, because you never know what's going to come of that, right? He's 27 years old. They've spent 25 million on him, right? There's no guarantees whether you spend 5 or whether you spend 30. But I think the biggest piece of it is they have their core. If you look at Sporting starting 11, most of them were there last year, right? So it's like, if you got to take one and put another, take 2 and put, that's one thing. But if you've got 4, 5, like look at Benfica starting 11. Who was there last year? You've got center back, just yesterday. You got Dedic is new, right? Dahl's playing in a new position. He was on loan, but we'll give him that, right? Midfield, Auschwitz is playing at center mid where he hasn't played in fucking forever. But yes, he was at the club. You've got guys like Enzo and Rios, new. Sudakov, new. Sheldrup was on loan, right? So he still hasn't fucking adapted, right? So like, and that's just yesterday's game.
Yeah.
Right. We've had other games where we have more, right? So it's like, you can't expect to replace 4 and 5 and 6 players from your core and expect it's going to work. Now, off the back of that is, I think Benfica's biggest problems, or one of Benfica's biggest problems, is we don't have a defined DNA for who we are, top to bottom and bottom to top, right? I think Benfica, given the size of Benfica, I think we need to have a profile. This is who we are as a club, right? Manchester United's going through it right now, right? Manchester United, you ask all Manchester United fans, the pundits, all the analysts, former players, and when you talk to them about Mourinho's style, 3 backs, they're like, that's not Man United. Man United's 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, going forward, wingers, right? Benfica has to define that profile. Who are we? Because what's happening is we get a coach who has a style and brings in players for that style, right? Let's just say Roger Schmidt in more recent history. We got Roger Schmidt. We played incredible football, right? He gets dismissed. Bruno Lage comes in, right? Then he's got to go get his players to fit how he wants to play, right?
Right.
4 weeks into the season, Bruno Lage is gone. Mourinho comes in, right? Completely different profile of a coach. Now he's got a different style that he wants to play, right? So it's like, you can't keep picking up these pieces every fucking year and expect that it's going to work and you're going to have consistency. Like Benfica needs to say, listen, this is how we are going to play, whether it's a 4-3-3, a 4-4-2, whatever you want to call it, right? And then we need to go get a coach that's going to fit us. We are not going to fit you, right? We're going to come to you and say, listen, this is how we play. This is the type of profile that we get for a player. This is our style. This is what we're looking for. This is what we do in the B team, the U23s, all the way down, right? Because you've got to build that from the grassroots. So when they get the transition's much easier, right? Now, if you
even from a coaching perspective, right? If you're building that up, then you can,
correct, because you can bring up a coach from the B team because it's all moving up. Right. And there are nuances where you'll have to change and adapt. In some games, you'll have to play with a back 3 because of the opponent and whatever the case. But the core of it has to be defined by the club. Benfica has to say, this is our style. This is what we want. This is the type of profile of player that we want for each position. This is the type of profile that we want for a manager. Right. And this is our philosophy. This is how we go. And then whether you take out one manager and put in another, you don't have to change much because the expectation is defined. The core is defined. And I feel like we don't have that. And then the guy that's going to come through the door next is going to be the same shit. What do you like? How do you play? Right? Like the rumors swirling now about Ruben Amorim.
I know. I was just going to ask you that. Yeah.
And then what are you going to do? You're going to move to a back 3. Right? And then what do you do?
Yeah.
You got to fucking flip the roster upside down again?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. But the thing, Mike, is Benfica can't go. And I understand everyone that wants, hey, we need a reset. We need to build a project and stick to that project.
You're going to say what I think you're going to say.
But my thing is, you need to win, right? You need to win. The thing is, I can understand, and as a fan, I know I'm not going to win the league every year. I know I'm not going to be in Champions League. But you've got to win. You've got to be able to bring in hardware, even if it's the Taça da Liga or the Taça, especially the Taça Portugal. You should be in that final practically every year. And I can go a year without winning the league if I can get that's what's going to keep these coaches alive. We ended up in second place or third place, but we won the Taça da Liga and we can continue that project. But the minute you don't bring any hardware home, you end up in third place. It's hard as a fan to be like, okay, I'm going to stick with the project, but the project hasn't gotten us any titles. The project ended up in third place. I know we want to look at 4 years down the road, but we get into a situation with Rui Costa where he's been in, a president for 5 years now. And it's like, well, we're not winning anything. We want to continue down this project. Do we really? Because we're just wasting away time. We're wasting away time.
But that's right. And what you touched on is kind of the difference of expectations, right? Like you said, finishing third and and holding on to the project, right? Let's look at it future state, right? And we've talked about it before, right? Like that's the difference between us and a Sporting, for example, right? Ruben Amorim came in and he had 3 months to basically prep the next season. He won his first year. Okay. His second year, he finished second in the league. He was semi-finalist in the Taça de Portugal. He won the Taça de Liga and he won the Supertaça, and he was knocked out in the round of 16 in the Champions League. His third season, he finished fourth, third round in the Taça de Portugal, runner-up in the Taça de Liga, and he didn't make it out of the group stage of the Champions League, and they made it to the quarterfinals in the Europa League, right? And those are the scenarios that I try to compare. Is like he won it, they dropped off, went second, went fourth, right? But then they came back and won it the following year, right? In that lull period is where Benfica fans don't accept.
Yeah.
The reality of it is we don't accept it. And when I say we, I speak in general, right? Is Benfica fans want to win everything always. And that goes back to the...
But Sporting does too. Porto does too. They want to win Porto wants to win everything always.
They do, but the expectation is different because Sporting did. Porto, I'll agree with you. Yes,
because we have the resources.
Sporting,
we are
that's the thing. That's the thing is when you have more resources and you're the biggest club in the country, the expectation is that you're always going to win. I mean, look at the Pats, for example, right? Where they won for so long and then they fell off and it's like, hold on a second, what the fuck's going on, right?
Yeah.
So Porto fans, yes. Sporting fans, not so much, more so now because now they're winning, right? And they're getting used to that feeling, but they had gone 20 years where they weren't winning shit, right? So that's the thing that I go back to the rational versus irrational is if you build a plan and you say, okay, listen, we're going to redo this and we're going to start from the bottom up. This is our profile. This is what we want. This is what we're going to do, right? The reality of it is fans and people will argue, but they're full of shit. But if you go on social media and you talk to people, you can see it's clear as day. Is fans, a lot of fans would rather continue disjointed, but winning, right? Winning more regularly than saying, listen, over the next 4 years, it might take us 2 or 3 years for us to get there, to build that core and to get us there and have something solid. But we might not win until now. More often than not, people are going to say they don't want that because they want to win now. And there's people, we've gone back and forth. The people like Barcelona does it with their youth. Bro, stop fucking comparing us. Like, it drives me nuts. Like, there's very few teams that can win and compete at the highest level today with a core of their youth, and we're not one of them. Sorry to tell you.
No,
we're not.
No, and I think that's what gets stuck. And I may be one of the irrational fans, right? Because I do look why Benfica's top club in Portugal, the one with the most money, the one with the best academy, the one that makes the most money on transfers. Why are we not more consistent than a Porto, right?
Because of the plan and investing that money properly,
right? And in my opinion, and I am an irrational fan. I'll admit it. I ride the highs super high, and when like the minute we fucking fall off, I'm off. But I would be a fan that would be okay, and I'm at the point where it's like, yes, I'm gonna bite the bullet, and we do need a plan. There at this point, I've had enough of the Rui Costa era. I do not see any type of cohesion year after year. It's just a lot of disjointed, like you said. I would be okay with let's start over. And again, everyone keeps saying you got the shiny little thing, and Mourinho's out there. Start with the plan, start with the project, and move forward with that. But I am also, as part of my irrationality, I would still think that you can build for the future, build this plan, but also win right away. I would still need to win right away and maybe have a lull in between and hope that the plan will then take off. Like, say it's a 4-year plan. Year one, you still got to come up with something. Even if it's, even if you don't win the title, you get to like a quarterfinals of Champions League, something, right? Just, and you're playing well, fine. Year 2, 3 might be a disaster, but then end of year 3, beginning of year 4, you take off and you win the league. but you've got to show some promise right away. If you come in and you don't show any promise right away, it's hard to stick to that plan. And I understand that's irrational, but because of who you are, if I was a Spar thing, I think I'd be more, okay, I haven't won in 20 years. I can like withstand it a little bit. But if you're Benfica, I don't think you have that much of a leash. You need to have some sort of like leg to stand on right away to prove like, hey, it's going to take some time. You see some of it right now, but it's only going to get better. And okay, you might have a break in between, but you take off after that. You have to have both. Unfortunately, as a Benfica fan, I want to see both. And I'm at the point where, like, yes, I do think we need a long-term strategic plan, but I do have to see some of that right away. Whether maybe it's a start, maybe it's a youth movement, and I see some of these youth kids actually like do well, which I haven't seen lately.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something like that, but like you've got to come up with some hardware. You have to.
You talked about the Champions League, and Benfica's made the quarterfinals of a European competition like 4 of the last 6 years or something like that, right? But again, it just goes back to
wow, that's
so 2020, 21, 22, we made it to the quarterfinals. 22, 23, or wait, hold on. So 20, 21, 22, we made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. 22, 23, we made it to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. 23, 24, we made it to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. 24, 25, we got knocked out in the round of 16.
Seems
but again, going back to what you were saying, right? Like reach a quarterfinal, right? So it's like, but when things are going so wrong, you tend to go down the irrational path and forget about all the other stuff. Again, getting to the quarterfinals of the Champions League isn't a title, but for a club in Portugal, it's pretty good achievement to be able to get that far.
Well, let me throw something at you now. So I almost feel like it would be beneficial for Benfica at this point to be in like a Europa League next year or whatever the other one is, Confederate Cup, whatever it is, Conference Cup. And maybe we get lucky and win like a cheap little European championship there. And like that could be the thing that kickstarts it, right? Versus, I mean, we all want to be in Champions League. Don't get me wrong. Correct. I mean, the money difference, everything, like the prestige, you want to be. But maybe it would be beneficial for Benfica long term to just like take a break. Let's reset. We're not gonna be able to spend what we're gonna have to work these kids in. Let's see how far we can get. Maybe we can like have some more success in Europa League. And I get it. We have had success. I didn't even realize that. It feels like 10 years ago, not 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But and maybe that plan can take off. I don't know. I don't know what's in for the future, to be honest. I don't know what we call. Do you think he's gonna say something? Like I feel like
I don't know. I don't think there's any value in him coming out to say anything, because if he says something, they're going to say he shouldn't have said it. If he doesn't say anything, they're going to say he should have said something. So it's a lose-lose for him, realistically. I think if he's going to speak, it should be at the end of the season.
Is there any, do you see, I mean, you're more in touch with what's, the Portuguese news. Is there any like conversation about like Mourinho's got to go like now or at the end of the season?
I mean, so there's fans that are asking for it and saying, let's go get Mourinho and let him prepare the season for next year. There's people also on the other side of it saying we should announce that we're going to renew with Mourinho and allow him to prepare things properly for next season. Until Mourinho finds another job, there's going to be the constant dilemma in the air, right?
And that's why, right. And that's why I'm saying, like, does Rui Costa feel the pressure to come out and be like, hey, let's stop that. I'm going to stick with Mourinho and like cut that, or that's going to go on, like you said, the rest of the season.
Correct. And I think the only reason they may not renew with Mourinho or say something like that is because if Portugal doesn't do well in the World Cup, I think it's more than obvious that Mourinho's in the backstage ready to take over for the national team. And I think Pedro Proença wants that too. So I think they're probably playing that behind the curtain as well. So I think that's going to have an impact. So again, there's just so many fucking moving pieces to this where it's just like, you don't know who's preparing. But again, if things were done right, it wouldn't matter who's sitting in that bench.
Yeah.
Right. Because the club and the sporting director are preparing, whether it's João, Manuel, Antonio, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Right. We're
Yeah.
going to plan. We're going to put the pieces in place. And then whoever's going to be the puppet master is going to be the puppet master. But see,
even that meddling with
is there.
Even that meddling with the Portuguese Federation, right? That fucks Benfica over, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, we're not going to play in the future because we don't know if maybe this might happen.
Correct.
So that's
and I think that's in part why they put the clause that they did in Mourinho's contract, where he can terminate it at the end of the season if he chooses, and Benfica can terminate it as well if they choose. So it gives them both an out. And Mourinho's history tells us that that's not common, right? So there's got to be a reason why he would put that in there. And they say he's a Benfica fan and he's been a socio for a long time, and I don't doubt that. But Bruno Lage was also a Benfica fan, right? So I think there's more to it, and he's openly said that the national team is something that he would love to do. So I think there's something being worked, and if Martinez drops the ball in the World Cup, I think he's more than likely to step in.
Yeah,
which causes problems for us. Quickly to close this out, we ended up going longer than we expected, but it was good conversation. Rafa Silva is in Portugal. I don't know if you saw yesterday, but his flight was supposed to land in Tires, and then they got rerouted to Lisbon, which caused some problems because then the cameras caught his girlfriend coming through customs with their dog and his agent, but Rafa was nowhere to be seen. And I was wondering, like, is he inside one of the luggage or something like that? He'd go out a back door.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's more than obvious that he's going to sign for Benfica, returning. He's 33 years old. How do you take this?
I don't know. I mean, it's one of those moves I think I expected when we first started talking about the transfer market. I mean, this it's not, what was it, 5 million? Is that the number, that the +2?
So the rumor was 5 + 2, but yesterday they were saying that from a very good source that it's nowhere near 7, including objectives. But because of the details of the deal, Benfica isn't obligated to report it to the CMVM. Apparently, you've got to hit certain thresholds for you to have to report it. And based on how the deal is being done, they don't hit those thresholds, which doesn't require them to report it. So, and the deal with Besiktas is that Benfica won't disclose the values, and Besiktas also won't disclose the values. So, curious to see if anyone leaks any of that information. But it also seems weird to me that, like, why is it so secretive? But
I feel like he went for free.
He left for free, because he got a massive signing bonus to go to Besiktas, and now he collected that, and now he's back.
I feel like it's Benfica trying to keep it hush hush over Besiktas.
Oh, for sure. But like, why? What's Benfica like? If they paid 5 million, like, what the fuck is the big deal? They paid 5 million,
right?
I mean, I feel like it's gonna. There's less. It's easier to just have less doubt and be like, listen, we paid 5 million. That includes objectives. It is what it is. Versus, we're not going to report it because we don't have to, and no one's going to talk about how much we paid. Like, why is it a secret? Now people are going to be like on the other side, like, did you pay more?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it seems silly. You let a guy go for free and then you go back and buy him for $5, $6, $7 million, right?
And they let him go for free because he didn't want to renew, because he had a massive signing bonus waiting for him on the other side. He's also not been playing regularly for like 2 months. So there's a lot of nuances here. From
a player perspective, I mean, we know what we're gonna get. I mean, he's a couple years older. I think this team has a lot of holes where, like, he'll come in and produce. It's a band-aid. I just don't think, it's not a future play. It's not what, what people are saying, like, it's time to build for the future. Like, this isn't that, but it's a tough market. January is always not a good market to go buy players and plan for the future. But this team could use all the help it can get. We're fighting for second place. I think that's really the realistic thing. We're lucky there's really no one on our heels fighting for third, because I think that would be more dangerous. If we end up in second place, I think it would be a miracle at this point, and I think Rafa can absolutely help the occasion. But hopefully he's still got the speed in him. I don't know. I haven't seen him play. I don't know if he's still
he had good numbers there. It's just, I think he just went into one of those phases that he had at Benfica where he kind of just like disappears and introverts.
Yeah.
and just unravels.
And Benfica's had a tough thing with injuries too. I mean, Luca Bacchio, I think, would have been a great. I mean,
Yep.
I feel like we're missing him tremendously. Like we talked in the very beginning with the speed. Sheldrup does not have that.
Yeah.
Cristiani doesn't have the muscle to muscle guys. I mean, he gets bullied off the ball easily. So having Rafa back should open up more space, hopefully for Sudakov to kind of shine, and for Pavlidis to keep doing what he's doing. So
the question is where does Rafa play? Does he play on the wing? Does he play as a number 10? He played more central with Roger, right? And then people are saying, well, if he plays central, then you got to push Sudakov out wide, which isn't his best position, which I agree with. So there's just so many nuances.
I think we need him as a winger. I mean, I
agree.
Clear that we don't have wingers. I don't know. What do you think Mourinho would do?
I mean, I think it'd be stupid to move Sudakov out wide because the games that we have seen him play central, he's played well.
I agree.
And he's also another guy he's not going to go at you one-on-one. Yes, he has a little bit of pace, but he's not like super creative. He's not a muscle guy. He's not a Luca Bacchio that can knock it and run into it. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that you want ball at his feet in the final third, pick his head up, threading passes, being able to take shots from distance. And he's not going to give you that when he's out wide. Rafa, on the other hand, I would prefer him be wide and then be able to come inside and occupy space inside, or also gives you the ability to get in behind, right? Whereas if he's central, I feel like he's kind of confined in there, right? Based on the system that we have today. It worked with Roger Schmidt because we had, funnily enough, we had a winger playing as a 10 and we had two center midfielders playing as wingers. Yeah. Right. So they were constantly alternating, and I don't think we have the same cohesion nor the same system to do that today. So I would say I like Sudakov a lot. I just think he needs to stay central, and you put Rafa on one wing. And whenever Luca Bacchio comes back, like you've got two guys with speed that can go at defenders, that can take balls into space, that makes the outside backs from the opposing team not creep up as much, because like if I take one extra step, I'm fucked because these guys are going to right. Whereas right now, cool, I'll let Sheldrup run into space. I'm going to catch up to him. Right. Cristiani, same thing. I'll body him. Hopefully he keeps the whatever is going on at Benfica about the injury bug away, right? Because I feel like Bruma's also back too. Yeah, he's another guy that can go at defenders, but he hasn't played. He's been out for 8 months. He had a serious right. It was his knee, Achilles. Oh, Achilles. Yeah. Achilles against Fenerbahce. Yeah. So it's like you've got him that hasn't played minutes. You've got Manu, right? Manu's played minutes and he's still not fit, right? So imagine where Bruma is. Yeah. From a fitness perspective. So yeah, it's tough, but they say Mourinho's pushed really hard to get Rafa in. He really likes him. So hopefully he can do good things with him. But I will say, to end on it, is at this point, I would rather spend $5 million on Rafa and know what I'm going to get, than spend $15 million on that André Luiz guy. That 100%. You don't know, right? It's one thing to play for Rio Ave. It's another thing to come play for Benfica. 100%. And $15 million is a fucking lot of money. Yeah. How much did we spend on that? The Cabral kid. The other one was like $6 million. Okay. 6 or 7 with bonuses, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Marinakis from Rio Ave, who owns Olympiacos, asking for $15 million. And then the news of like, oh, Olympiacos is interested in signing him. Of course they are. It's his fucking team. Why wouldn't they be interested? Yeah. You just send money from one account to the other. If there's got to be a way for Benfica to get around the price gouging when it comes to us trying to get players from the league. It's almost like we'll ever do it. I mean, I don't know if there's like any laws against it, but like it's almost like try to negotiate with the player and be like, dude, don't renew, let your contract go, and then you get in trouble for that. I mean, everyone does. Everyone does. 1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. But no, Benfica's luck, they'll get caught and they'll fucking get all sorts of trouble. But legally, you're not supposed to talk to players without the consent of the club, or if they're end of contract and get involved with these agents, something. But everyone does it. Yes, the agents are in their ears, or friends, or this or that. The other thing, like it happens for everyone. The price gouging when it comes to Benfica is ridiculous, and I almost feel like it would have been better off if we stuck with the satellite clubs, where it's like
At least you could stash them, but geez,
just go pull them up when you need them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a game this weekend against Titula. I'll be there. Hopefully it's a W, and then we've got Champions League next week. I'll be there as well. Most likely, if we do something next week, since I'll be over there, it'll be maybe another recorded one just to kind of make it work for everyone's schedules. But we'll keep you guys posted. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Again, it's pre-recorded, so if your comments weren't coming up, it's not that we were ignoring you. It's that we wanted to make sure that we put something out there because the current moment of the club is a little bit tricky, and we didn't want to go another week without anything. We will go back and look at all the comments. So once this goes live, let us know what you're thinking.
Please let us know what you're thinking. We want to get a good poll on what
I'm sure there's a lot of varying opinions too.
And there should be. There should be.
I'm sure Oscar will be in the comments about Lage and all that stuff. But Kenny, a pleasure as always. It went a little bit longer than we expected, but it was a good conversation for everyone. Don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe. Again, join the conversation. Leave us your thoughts, your feedback, your comments, your opinions, and we will chat next week.
Mike, enjoy your flight.
Good afternoon.
Enjoy your flight. Have a good time out there, and hopefully we'll bring them some luck.
Hopefully we bring back 2 W's.
Let's see it. I want to see it.
All right.